She had always thought her secrets would remain concealed, that her past would stay hidden forever. However, one unexpected encounter on an otherwise mundane weekday unraveled years of her carefully structured life, as if merely tugging at a loose thread. There were no loud arguments, no theatrical confrontations, just a profound silence, a single glance, and a calmness that belied the tempest of emotions brewing just beneath the surface. He did not react with fury. Instead, he began meticulously tracking the days, the conversations, the fleeting touches, and with each moment that passed, he inched closer to a revelation that would make her wish she had never stepped into this precarious situation. When the moment of truth finally arrived, it became evident that he was aware of everything. More importantly, he possessed the means to shatter the certainty she once held about her future. "Hey, welcome to my channel," he greeted. "If you're new here, please remember to subscribe and share this video with your friends or family. It truly supports the channel. I'd love to hear where you're tuning in from, so feel free to drop a comment with your city or country. Now let's get started. My name is Jack Jennings, but most people call me JJ. I'm 44 years old and work as an engineer for a company specializing in remote operations for offshore rigs. I've been happily married to my wife Abigail, who is 46, for over 20 years. She works part-time at a chemical testing laboratory. Our paths first crossed during our college years at Texas A&M. Me studying mechanical engineering and her focusing on biochemistry. Ironically, we met in a psychology elective of all subjects. After her graduation, we tied the knot while I was still completing my degree. We now have 2 children, a son who is 22 and a daughter who just turned 19. I can vividly recall our first date. It was nothing extravagant, just a college football game followed by pizza. Yet during that car ride to the pizzeria we shared our first kiss. A few dates later, things began to escalate physically, culminating in our first intimate encounter right before the Christmas break. That night confirmed what I had long suspected. She was the one for me. Years later, on a seemingly ordinary afternoon, I wrapped up a meeting with a client and decided to stop by home for lunch since I was in the vicinity. As I approached our street, I spotted Abigail's SUV ahead. I honked and waved, but she didn't respond. It's possible she didn't recognize me in my company car, which was different from my usual pickup. I followed her into the driveway, and that's when I noticed him, a younger man seated in the passenger seat. A sense of unease washed over me as she drove into the garage and quickly shut the door. I parked further down the street and waited for about 10 minutes. When she didn't emerge, I approached the house, peering through a side window where the curtains weren't fully drawn. What I witnessed shattered me. Abigail was on all fours, completely absorbed in an intimate encounter with this young man. She moved in ways I had never seen before, nearly unrecognizable. The sounds she made were unlike anything I had heard from her. It felt like I was observing a stranger, not my wife. Consumed by rage, I pulled out my phone and began recording. I moved stealthily through the house, inching down the hallway. Just as they were finishing, I cleared my throat, and both turned to me, panic spreading across their exposed bodies. I would later learn his name was David. Fury coursed through me. I knew that this footage would be crucial when I filed for divorce. I collected David's clothes, seized his phone, and locked everything in my gun safe, keeping his phone with me. Abigail and David stumbled over each other's explanations, but I had no interest in their justifications. I retrieved my Glock 9 from the safe and pulled David's ID from his wallet. I commanded Abigail to stay put and ordered David to follow me into the living room. Once there, I initiated my interrogation. "How long has this been going on?" I asked, my voice cold. He responded that it had been about a year, that they met once or twice a week. I pressed him further. "How often exactly?" His answer was casual. "Every couple of weeks." His nonchalant demeanor only intensified my anger. He continued. "Did she give you oral? Did she swallow?" I asked, striving to maintain my composure. With a smirk, he replied shamelessly. "Every time. She never wasted a drop." That struck me deeply. Abigail had never done that for me. I ordered him to return to the bedroom and wait while I strategized my next move. I grabbed his phone and dialed the number labeled home. A woman answered on the fourth ring. I calmly introduced myself, explained the situation, and insisted she come over immediately. Approximately 15 minutes later she arrived, unaware that I had called David's wife. While we waited, I returned to the bedroom and instructed them to continue. I fabricated a story, claiming that the thought of watching my wife with a younger man excited me. They hesitated, but fear compelled them to comply. I stood nearby, my Glock in hand. Moments later, a car pulled into the driveway. Before she could knock, I swung open the door. David's wife, Caroline, stormed inside. I directed her straight to the bedroom. What she witnessed ignited her fury. She lunged at them, fists raised. I had to intervene, restraining her to prevent the situation from escalating further. Once the chaos subsided, I gathered everyone into the living room. Abigail was in tears, pleading for forgiveness, professing her love for me, and promising to do anything to make things right. She swore I was the only one who mattered to her. I posed the same questions I had asked David, and to my disgust, her responses mirrored his. That was the final straw. I told her I could never trust her again and that divorce was inevitable. She begged me to reconsider, asserting she would do anything for another shot, but I knew there was no way back from this betrayal. I insisted on needing space, but deep down, I recognized that my decision had already been made. Returning to the living room, I found Caroline and David locked in a heated argument. Her voice was low but piercing. "Why?" she demanded. "Why would you do this to me?" David, like a man caught in a compromising situation, attempted to explain. "It just happened," he muttered defensively, adding, "Abigail was up for things I never thought she would be." Caroline was unswayed. "You knew my boundaries when we got married," she shot back, reminding him of her clear expectations. Her words resonated with me, prompting me to return to the bedroom where Abigail sat on the bed, her expression carefully constructed, as if rehearsed. When I inquired how we had reached this point, she explained that it all began with my long hours spent away from home. She felt isolated and it simply happened. She insisted it felt right with him. I recognized my absence had contributed to her loneliness, but I couldn't fathom how that justified betrayal. I maintained my fitness despite the demands of working offshore. Standing at 6 feet 1 inch and weighing 210 pounds, I followed a strict regimen, running several miles almost daily and lifting weights. I was aware of my physical appearance. While not extraordinary, I knew how to please. Abigail, her 36C bust, 26-inch waist, and 38-inch hips made her stunning, even after 2 children. Admittedly, she had gained a bit of weight, but she still looked incredible, as if time had failed to touch her since her mid-30s. Her shoulder-length brown hair and warm smile could melt stone. I understood why David was drawn to her. In contrast, David was rather unremarkable. A guy about 5 feet 11 inches and maybe 160 pounds, with short cropped hair and the demeanor of someone more comfortable with spreadsheets than social interactions. He was the bookish type. Physically, he resembled me a bit, perhaps smaller, but that couldn't have been the sole reason for Abigail's attraction. Caroline, on the other hand, stood nearly 6 feet tall and weighed maybe 100 pounds soaking wet. She had a timid, anxious air about her. I wasn't surprised David had strayed. I had warned Abigail this might occur if she continued her behavior. If she felt the need to cross a line, she could have done so with me. If she had refused, I would have filed for divorce immediately, sharing the video evidence with her employer, family, and friends, likely jeopardizing both her and David's careers. When Abigail asked for specifics regarding my expectations, I laid them out plainly. Since their affair lasted for about a year, she owed me 75 nights of complete sexual submission, with no exceptions. She would no longer be permitted to wear clothing around the house, only heels and jewelry. I informed her that I might make exceptions for guests but not for the pizza delivery guy. I had other plans for that. She would comply with whatever I imagined without question. Furthermore, I made it clear that David owed me as well. I instructed her to persuade Caroline to sleep with me while they both observed. Additionally, Abigail had to resign from her job and sever all ties with David permanently. She quickly realized that she held no leverage. Her choices had led her to this moment. She objected only once, questioning why Caroline needed to be involved when she had done nothing wrong. I responded bluntly, "If Caroline feels betrayed by David, she will resent him for the rest of her life. Honestly, I just wanted a chance to be with her, even if it's just once." Abigail requested I send Caroline in for a private conversation. When I relayed the message, Caroline snapped, saying she'd rather assault Abigail than talk to her. I remained calm and suggested it would be wise to at least listen. Eventually, Caroline stormed into the bedroom, furious. I stayed close, prepared for any escalation. Abigail presented the arrangement to Caroline and revealed the truth. Refusal would nullify the entire deal. Caroline glared, retorting, "So what? That's your mess, not mine." But Abigail clarified that she would share the footage with David's employer, resulting in his termination. This would mean no insurance for their children, and given the current job market, he wouldn't find a new position easily.